Hi, welcome to Thick and Thin with Marnie. I'm Marnie. So, I wanted to have a chat about weight gain and weight loss. And for some people, this is an uncomfortable conversation. For me, for many years, it was a very uncomfortable conversation. I had put a lot of weight on, and I was what you would classify as being morbidly obese. Um, and today. I'm still probably sitting in that same sphere, but this what I'm talking about now stems back to 2015, and I went to the doctors for my annual checkup and had blood tests done as part of that. And the doctor, when was getting the results back, the doctor said to me, "You really need to do something about your weight." And I hated anyone having a conversation with me about my weight. It was a place that I didn't feel comfortable discussing. I didn't feel comfortable in my own skin. I, yeah, it was sort of, I felt bad about myself. I felt really, really bad about myself. Didn't like who I was. Couldn't look in a mirror. I became very adept at putting makeup on without actually seeing me. Um, yeah, so it's sort of, I would be honed in on, for example, my eyes, and I just would not see the rest of my body because I just hated what I saw, absolutely hated what I saw. And so the doctor telling me that I needed to do something about my weight, that I was borderline diabetic, that I didn't, the bottom line was if I didn't do something, I would get to the point where I had to inject myself with insulin every day. The fact that, I was a heart attack or a stroke waiting to happen. And that was a bit of I guess, a slap in the face that I needed to really spur me on to doing something about my weight. And I guess back then, the challenge that I had that I didn't realize was a challenge was the fact that I was losing weight, or I decided that I had to lose weight, but it was for the wrong reasons. And it really wasn't for me. Even though as I lost weight, I started to feel better about myself. I was motivated to lose weight for other reasons, other things. And that's probably one of the reasons why I actually didn't keep my weight off, because clearly I didn't. So I'm going to talk about weight, gaining weight and weight loss, but I'm going to break this up over a few conversations so that so that well, hopefully you'll listen to it. Whereas if I sit here and speak for 4 hours about it, I'd be tuned off and somewhere else after the first 15 minutes, probably. That's if I lasted the 15 minutes. So anyway, for me, I made the decision that I needed to do something. So I had tried weight loss before unsuccessfully, and different things, really, I had tried different things. So my workplace, this is going back a few years before that, my workplace had brought Weight Watchers in. And we had a lovely lady, her name was Sue. Sue would come in once a week for, it was a couple of months. And at lunchtime, she'd come and she'd chat to us all. And, one by one, we'd go and weigh in, and she'd talk about, eating healthy, but counting points. And I sort of latched onto that because it was easy. I could go and buy Weight Watchers products that I didn't have to think about, as long as I counted the point system that they had then. I know this has all changed now, but I'm going back some time. Um, then I, bought some Weight Watchers cookbooks. And again, it was easy because I could work out from the points, and the meals were like everyday meals, but it was just about the points. So I did really well, and I lost some weight. Not a lot, but I lost some weight, and I was on my weight loss journey. And then I went to have laser eye surgery. And I said to my now ex-partner, like, don't let me, I didn't really know what to expect. I mean, obviously you go and you have a consultation and they talk to you about the procedure and whatnot, but I didn't really know what to expect. And we got there, and there was some armchairs, there was a waiting room, and there was plates of chocolate teddy bear biscuits, which back in the day used to be one of my go-to things. I loved chocolate teddy bear biscuits. They were probably my favorite chocolate biscuit. Don't know why, they just were. And I said to my now ex, don't let me eat that, because I was on track. I'd been losing weight. And then, they take you in, they sedate you, they take you in, they do what they have to do to your eyes, then they take you back out, they put you in the waiting room. I don't remember anything from that night other than the fact that I can remember them helping me onto the table. I remember waking up, lying on a recliner chair, and then getting helped into the car on the way home, because it was late. On the way home, my ex said to me, what do you want for tea? And I was very out of it. I, had pain relief so that they can, your eyes. And then, I don't know, apparently I said I wanted pizza, and apparently I put my order in for a large Hawaiian pizza, because in those days I loved Hawaiian pizzas. I would have them, not so much now because I'm back on my weight loss journey, but I apparently I asked for a large Hawaiian pizza, I asked for garlic bread, I asked for all these things, which I don't know, clearly because I was out of it, was not thinking. Then I apparently scoffed a lot. So that was on top of apparently scoffing a lot of chocolate teddy bear biscuits while I was out to it. So like I said, I don't remember any of this, and certainly it wasn't a conscious decision, but it really messed with my head. And so as a result of falling off the wagon like that, I gave up my watches, which I think, again, one of the things that I've learned more recently is that you can lose weight, but you need to work on yourself in order to make it sustainable. If it's just a case of getting weight off and the rest of you is not in line with that, then like me, something will trigger you and it will come back on. So, well, most likely, I'm not going to say it will come back on for you, because maybe it won't, but most likely, if you don't work on you, the weight loss side of things it's just part of the journey. It's not the whole package. So I gave up on Weight Watchers, which, would I've got to my goal weight with that? I don't know, probably, maybe, I don't know. Then I tried, I tried cutting back on junk food, but as an emotional eater, that was very unsuccessful for me. And some people don't understand what emotional eating is. That's usually because they don't suffer from it. Sometimes people are emotional eaters, but they don't identify that. I didn't identify it for a long while. I just didn't even think about it. It wasn't a thing for me. But I discovered that I was an emotional eater, and I'm still an emotional eater today. The difference is I have it under control now, and I don't allow myself to go there. But for a long while, I didn't know what emotional eating was. So lots of things triggered me and I would eat it. So for me, being an emotional eater, and we're all different, but for me, being an emotional eater meant that I would live on crap and junk food. So I'm a chocoholic. So what's that, you might ask? Think about that for me being the equivalent of an alcoholic with alcohol, or a drug addict with drugs. For me, there is something about chocolate that I can't just have a little piece. I, in the old days, I could, even, if I'd say to myself, I'm just going to have one piece, I'm just going to have 2 pieces of chocolate, I would go through a whole block. And I don't mean a family, the big, what is it, 250-gram block of chocolate. I mean the big block. I could get a large box of Rose's chocolates and I could eat that in one sitting. I would get up in the morning, I'd stick chocolate in my mouth. I would be sucking on chocolate throughout the day. I would go to bed. I would often, chocolate was the last thing in my mouth before I went to sleep. So there's something in chocolate that for me is an absolute Yeah, like I said, the only way I can really describe it is it's like alcohol is to an alcoholic, drugs are to a drug addict. For me, I'm a chocolate addict. So for many years, I was living on chocolate, living on chips, living on lollies. Coke was my go-to drink. I never drank water, didn't like water, would not drink water. The closest I got to water was having Coke, as in Coca-Cola. Um, and then from a food perspective, I would have things like, KFC. I love KFC. Um, don't know why, because I've heard some horror stories from one of my friends, Tom, who worked for KFC in his younger years. He has shared some eye-opening stories about KFC. Um, but even that wasn't a deterrent for me when I fell off the wagon. I went back to KFC. And so we talk about healthy eating, we talk about, food quantities and whatnot. A lot of people assume when you are large, when you are bigger than your body frame should be, and that's not necessarily because you're morbidly obese. There are smaller people who are a little bit overweight for their um, particular person, but they still, they look great and they still are healthy. Then obviously you get to, the other end, like me, where I am considered to be morbidly obese. Um, there's an assumption that, like, in order to be like this, that you're eating all the time and you're just gorging yourself on crap. And for me, I was under eating food wise because, often my breakfast, morning tea, my lunch, my afternoon tea, and my dessert was junk food, i.e., chocolate, chips, lollies. And my one meal of the day was dinner, which was quite often things like KFC, fish and chips, Red Rooster. And I'm not saying this to slam those companies. It's not about that, because I truly believe now, where I am now today, that you can have things in moderation. It's healthy to have things in moderation. And it's not about saying you could never have that. But for me, that was my go-to. So, there's 7 days in a week, and there was some days where dinner was crap every night, and the rest of my intake throughout the day was chocolate and sweets. So I didn't put on weight because I was overeating. I put on weight because I was just eating absolute crap, and I had no nutritious food that I was consuming. So um, that's, like I said, I tried Weight Watchers and fell off the wagon with that, let it go. My ex and I tried, we joined a boot camp. It was up the road, and we would go there before work. And it was good because I enjoyed the social aspect. It was good because I lost a little bit of weight, not very much. It wasn't good for me because it wasn't tailored specifically to each individual, because it's boot camp. They can't. So basically the fit people, it was catered to the fit people. Most of the group were fit and healthy. And then there was me at the end, overweight, huffing and puffing. And the guy who took the boot camp, he was compassionate and caring, but he had to tailor for, and cater for what most people were there for, a hard workout, which I couldn't really do. So it was good for me, but it didn't help me. And it didn't help me from the perspective of learning about um, healthy eating, emotions, healthy exercise, because obviously, we can all do some form of exercise, even if you are not mobile, to be able to sit on the couch and, do some gentle movement. Um, but I didn't learn any of that. So that didn't really work. We did, I think from memory, we did 2 rounds of boot camp. Then we did when I say one-on-one, it was 2-on-1 personal training with the guy who took the boot camp. And we would go to work, we would go drive to South Yarra, do boot camp in a park there. And then on the way home, because I hadn't been eating properly, on the way home, we would stop off and we would pick up something to tide us over until we got home, which was usually either things like lollies, chips, chocolate, or it could be KFC or something else, and eating that on the way home to tide us over. So again, counterproductive. But as I said before, it's because I was trying to work on weight loss and I wasn't working on me and the head stuff. So, and this is not about me, giving you an ear bashing about, you've got to work on yourself, but I'm just talking about, for me, my experience, I do believe that you can't work on this unless you're also working on the inside of you. It is a package deal as far as I'm concerned. So I had tried things, none of that worked. And then when the doctor gave me that news, like I said, it was like a slap in the face. So having a conversation with my ex, I said, you know what? It needs to be somewhere between work and home, because the bottom line is, if we're detouring off somewhere, like detouring to South Melbourne, then it's not going to work and it won't happen. And I've, for a long time, I was working longer hours than I was paid for, because supply and demand, there was always a lot of work to be done. So I was working long hours. And the reality is, if you're detouring to go, to do exercise when you're tired, you're hungry, you haven't been eating properly throughout the day, it's not so successful. So we ended up, long story cut short, we ended up at Vision Personal Training, which was on the way to work, which in that time in my life was absolutely perfect. Walked in, there was a great feel, met with the owners, Tom and Alex, and I was paired up with the absolute perfect trainer for me in that time. James, very quickly learned what buttons to push with me to get me motivated, to get me, to achieve things. And Vision teaches you the 4 E's: eating, emotions, education, exercise. I've probably got that order wrong. It's been a few years, but basically that's the 4 E's. And so they really, work on educating you while you change your food habits slowly and while you exercise slowly, and they adjust it to what your achievements are. So for me, it was weight loss. So my program was tailored to that, whereas there's others who, they just want to get fit, or, different goals. So they tailor it specifically. So James worked with me and educated me and helped me change my eating habits, helped me think about what I was putting in my mouth. And then, because, as I said, goal driven, I very quickly latched on to the fact that, okay, I need to change things up. And I'd walked in, they were upstairs, and it was really hard walking upstairs because, well, as a bigger person, it's huffing and puffing to get upstairs. I wasn't injured in those days, but I was very unfit, extremely unfit. So walking up the stairs was an effort. And I had made the commitment to myself that when I start this, I'm going to be truthful about what I eat. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm just going to be really honest with him. I'm going to keep it real. And I did do that. One of the things that I used to say to people is, it doesn't matter what you eat in the kitchen behind a closed door. You can't lie to your body. And so for me, there was days like I'd say to him, you know what, I had Fruit Loops for breakfast. And getting to know him, I got to read the looks on his face. His face didn't change, but his eyes used to change. So, I've learned very quickly, okay, so Fruit Loops really not a good thing. It's full of sugar. And again, I'm not saying don't eat Fruit Loops. I'm just saying, for me, that just didn't work. So I'm going to leave it here. We will pick this conversation up. But emotional eating, if you're an emotional eater, or if you live with someone who's an emotional eater, you love someone who's an emotional eater, or your friend is an emotional eater, best thing I can say is, if you're the emotional eater, first of all, you need to identify it. And then secondly, you need to identify what it is that triggers you with your emotional eating, because we're all different. We all have different triggers. If you are someone who lives with, loves, or is friends with someone who's an emotional eater, best thing you can do is support that person. And they might not be ready to have a conversation about it with you, but support is huge. You need to be surrounded with people who are going to help you, not be surrounded. So what I mean is not be surrounded with people who are going to say things like, for example, you can have another piece of chocolate. It's only one. One's not going to hurt you. Well, it is, because for me, that's like you're feeding my addiction. Chocolate is my addiction. So telling me I can have one, one's not going to hurt, one more's not going to hurt, that's hurting me. What you need to say to me in that situation is, you don't need that. What can we do instead? A distraction. Find a substitute, something else that is healthier than what it is that your go-to is, or you're addicted to, or and I'm not saying that all emotional eaters are addicted to something. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying, for me, I am addicted to chocolate. Chocolate is something that I cannot just have one. Even now, I haven't had chocolate since December 31st last year. I know without a doubt, if I have a piece of chocolate, I will be back into chocolate, and I've come too far for that. So emotional eaters, it's not necessarily an addiction for them. There's a trigger, something triggers you to go and eat comfort food, whatever that comfort food is to you. So yeah, if you are supporting, or you know someone who is an emotional eater, support them by helping them find out what the trigger is and helping them find healthy alternatives to their comfort eating. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there, and we'll pick this conversation up. I hope that this has helped you, whether it's helped you because you are the person who is trying to lose weight, or maybe not even trying to lose weight yet. Maybe, you haven't gotten to that point where you're thinking about losing weight. Maybe you're the person who's supporting someone or loves someone who is needing to or trying to lose weight. So I hope that this is helpful to you. Please feel free to like and subscribe. If you subscribe, you'll get notified as I post, and therefore, as I post the rest of this story, you'll get notified. Anyway, whatever you're doing today, take care. I hope you're doing something that lights a fire in your belly, makes your heart sing. And until next time, bye.